Where do you operate out of?
So I operate out of Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay.
Um, I serve Tippecanoe County and then all the surrounding counties as well.
Okay.
So
Cool. So yeah, we don't want people from New York City calling you unless they're going to pay, I guess, a lot of money. Probably different state laws too.
yeah, I mean, I'm only licensed in Indiana. However, I do get calls from all around the country to serve papers. I also am a process server, so um, I do
Awesome.
that. You know, like that Pineapple Express. You've been served.
How
They're
many
paranoid
zeros
or
are we
something. But
talking, by the way? Like just in case, any of us have to go down that dark path.
How much does it
yeah,
cost?
Yeah.
well, it's really so
Um,
it really depends on the case.
Right. I don't
okay.
want you to pigeon. I don't want you to put yourself in a financial
Yes,
lock
my
because different
apologies.
people
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
charged different
that's okay.
things. But in
That's
general,
okay. I don't mind. So it depends on if you just need like basic services or if you need surveillance. Surveillance is expensive because it's boring and can be dangerous. So surveillance for Indiana, the basis is in between like 80 and $120 an hour. That's a very rough estimate. And it really depends on the case and how
Right.
difficult it will be.
I want to get to. You said, I believe in our pre-interview chat that you have been
Mhm.
private investigator for around a year now.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. I've technically owned the company for about 3 years, but uh, it in my opinion, it's a good thing. There's a ton of red tape to jump through before you can get a license to do this. So,
I I
started
looked
the
into it.
company, but we weren't licensed until about a year ago.
I looked into it when I was a older teenager. Like, well, if I wanted to do this, what would I need? And I was like, oh, I don't have any of these qualifications, and I don't have any.
Some
The yeah,
some states you don't need any kind of any. You don't even need a license. You can just say you're a PI. I don't like that.
I want to. Yeah, sounds dangerous for everybody.
Yeah, a little
Um,
Yeah.
bit.
yeah. So my question, my lead off question into the relationship aspect of this is
Mhm.
you've been approached by people at various points in their belief that somebody needs investigated. At what point do you suggest it's worth your time or their money to contact you when they already have their own proof, or is that too late? Or if they just woke up and had a bad dream, like how do you counsel them on when's the appropriate time to contact you?
That's a great question. I have been contacted, and I have found that generally they just need somebody to talk to because I'm generally the first person they've talked out loud about their suspicions to. So
Yeah,
what
makes
I
sense.
find is generally they'll call me and then I will just ask very general questions and let them talk, and then they kind of work it out themselves, honestly.
Wow,
Um,
that's
and
huge.
then I ask them eventually, like, what exactly do you want out of services for me? Like, what is the end goal? Do you want videos, pictures? In Indiana, for divorce, you don't need proof. So it's not going to help them when it comes to court, but
It'll help them in the next poker
it
party.
peace of mind. So
That's the only time I recommend people keep proof because I think in general, in most states anyway, evidence of cheating or that it doesn't help you necessarily in the divorce. But I
yeah,
say if you do need to keep any evidence, keep it for whenever in case it turns into a well, she did this. And she, well, I have pictures from his phone that he did this. That's I think the only time that people need to keep the proof. But it's also for themselves, right? They need to know for sure that they're making the right decision because sometimes it involves children. It involves maybe they really love their new family uh, to know for sure
right,
that you're doing the right thing, I think, is the vital part of what you do. Not
yeah,
necessarily to make it
yeah.
okay. You'll now win the lawsuit and get all the money. What's the best point when they already have their own proof, or they just need
Great
to?
question.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
I
I
did.
started it.
That's fine. I didn't actually answer your question. My bad. Um, if you already have proof, I don't think really should hire me unless I have had one client who had already caught her husband, but he, sorry, I swear I'll never do it again, and started covering his tracks better, and suspected that he's kept going. That you might need services. But if you haven't caught them yet, it's a really hard question to answer because without proof, you don't actually really know. Um, I would say if your significant other is starting to be distant, uh, gone long periods at a time where they have bad excuses for what they're doing, um, I would say it's at least worth a call, you know,
Do a preliminary.
even if it's just like if you think if a common one is like, oh, I've been working late. Hire me to run by the place of business real quick. That costs very cheap, and it'll tell you if they're at work or not.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know,
And then if they need
that kind of
more
thing.
and more, you can continue the investigation and add on to it.
Exactly. And even if you're just now suspecting, consultation is free. You can call me and talk it over, and I'll let you know when I hear your case, like, if I think it's worth my time. Also, I know I only serve Tippecanoe and surrounding counties, but I am, a member of a statewide organization. So if I can't help you, I can find somebody in your area probably.
If somebody's not in your area, how would you suggest they find a good PI?
It's
Like,
a
what
good
are the
question.
things to look out
In
for?
Indiana, you can go to iapi.net, and that would give you a whole list of qualified PIs in
Well,
all
I mean,
the
like
state.
red
So
flags when you're talking to a PI that he probably isn't a good one. If he talks about money first and all, or if he uh doesn't even write down what you're saying to him, what would be red flags if you are talking to a PI already? Not necessarily going to
uh,
Yelp and looking it up, but
that's a great question. Well, the first thing I would do is I would look up the state licensing board and make sure they're licensed in general, because a
right,
lot of
right,
people have actually said that I'm a PI, I can help you, and then they're not actually licensed, which in Indiana means they don't have access to the databases that we do, and that kind of thing. So
right.
uh, they wouldn't be able to get you the results that a licensed PI would.
What was the stupidest cheat you've ever seen? Like the guy was just not hiding it like very well at all. You spent 5 minutes on the case, really, sort of. What's the easiest bust you ever made?
Probably the stupidest one is my client. It was on Valentine's Day of last year. My client
Oh,
said
Valentine's Day again.
she's suspecting that her husband is going to meet up with his girlfriend. But I had told her that, and at this point, I had a tracker on his vehicle. I had told her that I was going to be on a date with my wife, but my wife understands that I have a job. So I
Sure.
was like, I will check it occasionally during our Valentine's Day date, but I'll not be checking it too much. But during the date, I noticed that because we knew where his girlfriend lived, she already knew that he was cheating. That's a whole nother story. But and so I told her, just thinking she would just take that information as like oh, okay, because I couldn't follow her. She decided to. She
Valentine's Day.
he ended up going out of home, and she followed him all the way out to a whole nother, and tried to take pictures, but she's not a PI, so she wasn't very sneaky. Don't try to
Uh,
do my job without, me.
Yeah.
yeah. You need a more expensive lens than your phone.
Yeah, although I mean, honestly, I do kind of use my phone, but I have a high end phone, so
Right, right. It's
I
not
do
just
have another camera as well. But sometimes the camera phone works best.
She she left the ringer on and everything, left the flash on. She's just standing there out in the open. And
Flashlight mode.
You got a call from?
You have mail. Wait, is that still a thing?
Oh man. That is
That's a throwback.
wow. That was one thing have you ever done a job or whatever the term is used in your industry where you're like, oh shit, this is out of my league. I need to dovetail this with, actual law enforcement, like immediately. And I may have just implicated myself, not that far, but you know what I mean? Where you're like, you're saying like you have to work with other PI groups, but like, I mean, at one point you're stumbling going, crap. Like,
Yeah. I just had somebody call me a while back, and their landlord is hiding cameras in their house. I'm like, you don't need a PI. You need to call the fucking police. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, you
yeah,
can.
no,
Fuck
yeah,
that.
no,
That's
you're
fine.
fine. You're fine. Yeah. No.
Fucking-
You need to call the police.
Have you noticed a difference between male cheaters and female cheaters in how they either hide it or how they react? I'm assuming you don't jump out of the from behind the curtain and go, "I have your picture, haha." But in general, when you hear about their reaction, have you like what would you say the big differences are if you've had many differences at all? Or if you're just I take a photo, I give it, we're done.
I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, I'm not really in on the reaction part of it. That would be fun and make a good TV show, though.
I think there was one and the host got
Well, I guess it
stabbed.
is a TV show, Cheaters, but
Yeah. Well, is that still
Um,
on? You hang out in a circle that obviously we don't. You have other PIs. I'm not saying you get together at the bar down the road every Friday and you trade stories, but occasionally you're in the same
it's
rooms.
once a month, but we do.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I was curious. We get back on topic to the relationship part. I do have another question outside of romantic relationships to ask you. Do you
Mhm.
have any favorite stories that another PI has told you? Again, feel free to mask it however you want for consumption, or any even stories that may have just went through the news, but you have a special insight on, like just things that when you're trying to tell people about the fun parts of your job, what are your favorite stories along those lines?
My favorite story is so this particular person, this other PI was investigating. Um, the cheater owned a bar, and it was suspected that the girlfriend would go in and and visit while he was working, and so during one particular day, this PI was paid by the client to go in, order a beer served to them by the cheater, and the cheater had no idea that they had
No.
just served a PI who was investigating them a beer on their own wife's tab. A good bit of advice is sometimes when people are being dishonest, they'll have their spouse download Life 360 because they think, oh, you're going to have your phone on you all the time, so I can track your phone. Well, that person can easily leave their phone somewhere so they appear to still be there and just go do whatever they want.
Producer
PI,
Josh.
the Josh wearing the PI shirt, by the way.
That's too cool. I love it.
So Hawaiian
PI
print.
Josh and producer Josh. Love it.
Josh,
I have not seen
All right.
anything at the moment, but I've got a question. If you had the number one tip to get past you or another private investigator, what's the best way to make that slip properly?
asking for a friend.
That's a good question. Wear an orange vest. I'm gonna give you bad advice on purpose. No,
Actually, no, the orange vest
this
sounds
is gonna
great.
sound
Nobody pays attention to construction people.
it, it, what's that?
Nobody pays attention to construction people. You could walk out of
Yeah,
Walmart with a cash register if you have an orange vest on.
yeah, no.
I'm not saying to do that, but good. Sorry.
uh, uh, honestly, if you think you're being followed, this is gonna sound really weird, but all of the like Tom Clancy novels while it's all dramatizations, their methods on surveillance, counter surveillance detection, and escaping surveillance and that kind of thing, it's all pretty much legit. So you know, that's always an option, I guess.
We'll get your what's the name of your website again?
It's Edwards INV services.
Cool.
And it's under construction right now, so it's not pretty, but give it a week or so, and it'll look nice. So
Awesome. And we have your email on the screen right under you right now. If you reach out to us, if you don't catch any of this, let me know in chat here on our Discord, on our Twitch, on Reddit. Get a hold of us. I'll get you in touch with Josh with anything you need. Thank you for your
thank
time.
you for having me.
Yeah, really
Awesome.
appreciate
Yeah,
you
this has been
reaching out
great,
and
man.
letting us
Thanks.
know.